These are the most expensive mistakes ever made by humans, and almost none of them were made by fools. Chapter 1. 37 Seconds. June 4th, 1996. Kourou, French Guiana. The European Space Agency is about to launch the most powerful rocket it has ever built, the Ariane 5. It has taken a decade to develop and cost roughly $7 billion. On board are 4 scientific satellites called cluster, years of research packed into the nose cone. At 9:34 a.m. local time, the engines ignite and Ariane 5 lifts off the pad. For 37 seconds, everything is perfect. Then the rocket suddenly swings violently sideways. The aerodynamic forces tear it apart, and its self-destruct system detonates what's left. A decade of work becomes a fireball over the jungle in under 40 seconds. The cause was not the engines. It was a single number. To save time, engineers had reused navigation software from the older Ariane 4. That software tried to cram a large number, the rocket's horizontal velocity, into a slot built for a much smaller one. Ariane 5 flew faster than Ariane 4 ever had. The number didn't fit. The system overflowed. The backup computer, running the identical code, had failed the exact same way a fraction of a second earlier. 2 computers, 1 bug, no survivors. The loss? Around $370 million, gone in 37 seconds. A rocket built to carry the future was destroyed by a line of code written for a different machine. Chapter 2. The Decimal Point. December 8, 2005. Tokyo. Mizuho Securities, one of Japan's largest brokerages. A new company called JCOM is listing on the stock exchange that morning. A Mizuho trader has a simple instruction: sell 1 share for 610,000 yen. 1 share, 610,000 yen. Instead, the 2 numbers get transposed at the keyboard. The order that goes out is to sell 610,000 shares for 1 yen each. There is a problem with this. The entire company only has around 14,000 shares in existence. Mizuho has just offered to sell 40 times more stock than exists at a fraction of a penny apiece. The trader spots it almost instantly and tries to cancel. The cancellation fails, a flaw in the Tokyo Stock Exchange's own system, one that will later cost the exchange a lawsuit of its own. And so the trade goes through. The loss, around 40 billion yen. About $225 million. 1 keystroke. A number typed into the wrong box. The market never cared what the trader meant. The market only knew what the trader typed. Chapter 3. The $327 million unit conversion. September 23, 1999. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, California. After a 286-day journey across more than 400 million miles of space, the Mars Climate Orbiter is finally arriving at the Red Planet. It cost $327 million. Its job is to slip into orbit and study the Martian climate. The spacecraft fires its engine and passes behind Mars, exactly on schedule. It is never heard from again. The reason is almost too simple to believe. The team at Lockheed Martin, which built the thrusters, had written their software to measure force in pound-seconds, imperial units. NASA's navigation team expected that data in newton-seconds, metric units. No one ever converted between the two. Every calculation was off by a factor of about 4.45. And across hundreds of millions of miles, that gap quietly compounded. Instead of settling into orbit around 140 miles above the surface, the orbiter dropped to roughly 35. Too low. It burned up in the Martian atmosphere, $327 million incinerated, because one team used pounds and the other used newtons. The universe, it turns out, does not grade on intent. Chapter 4. The $800 Goodbye. April 1st, 1976. A garage in Los Altos, California. 3 men sign the papers to found a company. 2 are named Steve, Jobs, and Wozniak. The third is a 41-year-old engineer named Ronald Wayne. The company is called Apple. Wayne owns 10% of it. He's the experienced one in the room. He draws the first logo and writes the partnership agreement himself. And he's worried. The 2 younger men have no money. If the new company takes on debt, Wayne, the only partner with real personal assets, could be held responsible for it. So just 12 days later, he sells his stake back for $800. Later, he accepts a final payment to give up any future claim. In total, he walks away with about $2,300. That 10% of Apple would today be worth, conservatively, more than $300 billion. Ronald Wayne lived quietly in Nevada, selling stamps and coins to get by. He has always insisted he doesn't regret it, that he made the best decision he could with the information he had. And that is the unsettling part. It wasn't a reckless decision. It was a careful one, made on the single day in history when caution was the most expensive choice available. Chapter 5. The Meeting That Killed Blockbuster. The year 2000, Dallas, Texas. The headquarters of Blockbuster. 9,000 stores, billions in revenue. The undisputed king of home entertainment. A small, struggling startup requests a meeting. Its founders fly in. Their company is hemorrhaging money mailing DVDs around the country in little red envelopes. It's called Netflix. They make Blockbuster an offer. Buy us for $50 million. To a company Blockbuster's size, $50 million is a rounding error. And according to the people in that room, Netflix's founders are very nearly laughed out of the building. Blockbuster says no. Why pay $50 million for a tiny mail-order DVD service when you own every video store on Earth? It's a perfectly logical question. It's also the most expensive no in corporate history. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. Today, Netflix is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The $50 million Blockbuster refused to spend became a fortune it could never have imagined. Blockbuster didn't fall because it was stupid. It fell because it was winning. And winning made it certain the world would always look the way it did that afternoon. Chapter 6. The $165 billion Merger. January 10th, 2000. New York City. 2 of the most powerful companies on Earth step in front of the cameras to announce they are becoming one. On one side, AOL, the most valuable internet company in the world, riding the dot-com boom. On the other, Time Warner, the media empire behind CNN, Warner Brothers, and Time Magazine. The deal is valued at around $165 billion, the largest merger in history. Everyone in the room calls it the future. Old media and new media finally united. There is just one problem. AOL's enormous value is built almost entirely on the dot-com bubble. And within months of the deal closing, that bubble bursts. Worse, AOL's actual business is dial-up internet, a product going obsolete in real time as the world moves to broadband. The combined company's stock collapses. In 2002, AOL Time Warner reports a loss of around $99 billion for the year, the largest annual loss any company had ever recorded. $99 billion. Roughly the entire value AOL had brought to the table, erased. The 2 companies eventually tore themselves apart again. Executives would later call it the worst merger of all time. This one wasn't a typo or a missed line of code. It was a room full of the smartest, most powerful people in business, all agreeing on the same beautiful idea at the exact moment it was about to be proven wrong. Look across all of these, and a pattern emerges that you might not expect. A team of rocket engineers, a skilled trader, NASA scientists, a cautious co-founder, a winning CEO, the titans of two industries, competent people, every single one. Because that's the truth hiding inside these stories. Catastrophe doesn't need a villain. It only needs a small mistake and a system large enough to multiply it. A rocket turned one oversized number into a fireball in 37 seconds. 400 million miles of space turned one unit of measurement into wreckage. A fast enough market turned one keystroke into $250 million before anyone could lift a finger off the key. The mistakes were always small. It was the machines we built around them that made them enormous. And those machines are only getting bigger, faster, and more connected. The mistake is human. The price is mathematics. If this gripped you, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which expensive mistake should have made the list.